It's a big game for David Moyes. I keep saying this, don't I? It's a massive game for David Moyes. It's a massive game for West Ham. In fact, a few days ago, in the comments, somebody said to me, are you going to be saying that thing before the Leeds game that you say before every game, that this is the most important game? And this is massive for David Moyes. And I get it. I have been saying that a lot, and I understand that. However, it is true, isn't it? The games don't become less important. In fact, with every game that you don't pick up any points, the next one has more pressure on it, right? With David Moyes, do I think this is massive for him? Yes. I don't believe that he's got this finite limit of time. Look, I keep changing my mind, I've got to say. Sometimes I look at things and think, oh, his position is untenable. He surely has no more games. Sometimes I read something that's come from the board and I think, oh, I'm not happy to hear that. That doesn't sound great. But I actually do think I think the board have probably decided. The board have probably said he has this many games. If he hasn't turned it round by this point, then we're going to get rid of him. And I understand why they haven't told him, by the way. But I just think it's a little bit of a halfway house. I get the premise. Let's assume that the board, we already know, we discussed the finances yesterday, right? We already know how much difference there is from the parachute payment to the Championship and how much there is for staying in the Premier League. We know that Kretinsky's not going to put up with this forever. So at some point, there would have been a conversation that if David Moyes loses XYZ, he's going to have to go. Now, that has not been articulated to him. Okay, so I understand the premise of, even though we've decided we'll let him go if this happens, we don't want to let him go. So what we want to do is we want to make David Moyes confident. We want to make David Moyes feel like he's got the support of the club. I get that. I get the idea. I get the premise behind it. But I think if you're going to do it, if what you want to do is give that manager confidence and send a message to the manager, the backroom team, and the team itself and the squad, that this manager is safe, get behind him. He's our guy. Even if you don't mean it, even if you are going to sack him in 3 games, don't say the 3-game stuff. Tell him. Say he's here. You're our guy for the rest of the season and for next season as well. If what you want to do is make that guy feel $1 million, like the main man, and that his job is secure, tell him that. I think they're sort of caught in a halfway house, telling him just enough to make him feel his job might be secure, but leaking just enough so as the fans know that they will get rid of him. I don't think you're going to please everyone in this situation. If you're going to fully support David Moyes, you might annoy the fans. Do you know what I mean? The fans are probably thinking, Carl, he can't lose game after game after game. And the board probably agree. But if you want to do is back him publicly, then back him publicly. Don't half back him publicly. Those have been my thoughts in the last few days. I keep changing my mind on it anyway. David Moyes is, I think he knows he's under pressure. The press conferences were interesting. They really were interesting. Listening how he's talking about the team. Listening to him suggest... I'll tell you what was weird. The whole Scamacca thing. That almost it was an indication that Scamacca might get one more chance. What? I mean, I didn't understand that. This is the trouble. When you're down in the doldrums, you start picking at everything that's said. David Moyes hasn't got any chance but gives any choice but to give Scamacca a chance. He really doesn't. What are his options? Well, Mikel Antonio... If you were going to start Mikel Antonio, you would have wanted to see something in his substitute role against Brentford, wouldn't you? You'd want to see a bit of promise, something that made you think, oh, actually, if I start him against Leeds, if I start Antonio against Leeds, he looks more likely to score than Scamacca. Well, he didn't, did he? I mean, he just didn't. He didn't look more likely. He literally kicked the air. It was. Look, we'll laugh at that. If we don't go down, we'll laugh at that. Anyway, he didn't look too good. The backup to the backup is Maxwell Cornet. He don't know where he is. He even corrected himself. When I said, I think he's in France. Oh, that's brilliant. Excellent. I think he's in France. There was another thing. He might be in the gym. Oh, fantastic. Honestly, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Honestly, it's like at tea time, you call your son in for tea and you know he's out on his bike. He might be at the park. He might be doing laps down the end of the road. I don't know. He's somewhere. I don't know where he is. Maybe you should call him out. Maxwell, your tea's ready. Probably wouldn't come calling anyway. I'll tell you something, though. A couple of days ago, I went down to the seaside. Oh, it was bloody freezing, by the way. It was bloody freezing. But when I was at the seaside, I don't know why I'm getting glasses ready. When I was at the seaside, I saw and I encountered the very wise, the very sage mind. I don't know if he's a mind reader or it's a fortune teller. That's the word I'm looking for. The great and mighty Zoltar. And I said to him, Zoltar, please tell me, are West Ham going to beat Leeds or not? I don't know what the West Ham result's going to be, but the great and wise Zoltar does. So we're going to find out if West Ham are going to win, lose or draw. Zoltar charges £1. That's fine. Zoltar, please tell us, will West Ham win, lose or draw? Oh, this is tense. This is tense indeed. And I am sorry, I did in fact lose the ticket, but I can tell you that the mighty sage and wise Zoltar did actually say, well, I say he printed it. It's very good. It's got a little printer there and everything. Leeds 1, West Ham 2. You're not going to believe this. Goals from Craig Dawson and Michael Antonio. Who'd have thought it? You heard it here first. I don't know if he's going to be a regular feature. We'll have to find out and see. But hey, look, there you go. Not my prediction, you understand. Zoltar's prediction. Don't put any money on it. That's all I'm saying. By the way, speaking of money, if you would like to support Hammers Chat, then may I please point you in a direction of our Patreon page. What is our Patreon page? Well, Patreon is basically an additional West Ham channel with additional videos, with additional podcasts. There's a ton of content on there. We got additional reviews, we got player ratings, we have got opposition previews, we have got breakfast shows, we have got Hammerlytics, which is an analytical view of the Hammers. You know what's happened with the name there? Hammerlytics. That's a really, really good show. I think it's the best West Ham show on YouTube, by the way. We have got Anton Ferdinand, who has joined the Hammers Chat team. He's really good. Look, when we first asked Anton to join us, you never know what you're going to get when you ask an ex-player to join you. Are they just going to sort of go through the motions? Are they going to answer the tough questions? He really does give his honest opinion. He is excellent value, Anton, and we're absolutely delighted to have him on board. We have monthly prize giveaways. We have a little, for our addicts, which is our highest tier of patronship, we've got a nice little WhatsApp group. We've got ticket giveaways. We have got discounts to our online store. Honestly, it is packed full of stuff. The link is in the description below. That's patreon.com/Hammers Chat. Use the link below. Check which tier you'd like, and please, if you would be so kind as to go there, have a look. And if you feel that you'd like to support Hammers Chat, because also the Patreon helps support what we do on a daily basis on YouTube and both the other channels. Anyway, there you go. What's David Moyes had to say? Well, it's not just about Skamaka, by the way. David Moyes has been talking about his own job, and he's been talking about, I'll put this on, I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it. He's basically alluding to the fact that it's not been good enough and that our problem is scoring goals, obviously. Scoring goals is the hard bit, though. I don't doubt for a second that David Moyes can make the team better defensively. I think you've got to bring a Gerd back. I think bringing a Gerd back into defence, he's £35 million guy. He's not been able to use him. And I would feel a little bit sorry for him if other things hadn't happened. Like, he's had a lot of money spent on centre backs. He knew when he was buying Zoom that it was buying an injury-prone player. He'd already had knee surgery, ACL surgery at Chelsea. He didn't have to let Diop go. If he'd have included Diop more in his squads and his team, basically, there's been times at West Ham when Diop's played well and he's not got back into the team. All right, so he could have kept Diop sweet. He's had chances to do other things at centre-half, and he's chosen not to do them. However, I do think if he brings a Gerd back in, it improves the defence. I think if he brings in Ben Johnson in, it improves the defence. And not only that, there's a reasoning for not bringing Ben Johnson in, and that is because he's not as good as the others from an attacking point of view. I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think we're getting assists from Cresswell, and I don't think we're getting assists from Soufal. So are we losing out from an attacking standpoint with Ben Johnson? I just don't think we are. But I do think he's better defensively than those two. So I just think those two coming in improve the defence. I think a Gerd next to Dawson, who I think's in reasonable form. I think you start to sort out the defence. Do you then play Johnson at right back or left back? I don't know. Whatever. But I do think those players coming in do improve the defence. But it is the goal scoring that's the tricky bit, because that's the genius part, right? That's the creative part. They say, don't they? That's why strikers cost more money, because goal scoring is the hardest part to do. I do think there were times against Brentford where we looked... I was going to say... We didn't look potent, but we kept possession. I saw enough to believe that the players were still playing for David Moyes. I didn't think he'd lost the dressing room. But I don't think there was a cohesive strategy. I didn't look like there was a lot of creativity going on there. I really don't. So I don't think it's just a case... When I read David Moyes' comments, it's almost like he hopes the goals are going to go in. I'm not sort of buoyed, and I'm not awash with confidence that he's devised a load of patterns and a strategy that's going to unlock our goal-scoring capabilities. I really don't. And as I mentioned in previous videos, I think the Scamacca long shots, I think Antonio at the end of the game against Brentford, I think that just sort of summed up our frustration, the team's frustration, that we didn't really know how to break down a defence. I'm not sure Leeds are going to play like that. It may well be that we... Look, hey, it may well be that we win. The great and mighty and wise and sage Zoltar thinks we're going to win 2-1. I don't know. We're going back to the start of the video. It is a massive game for David Moyes, and an incredibly important game for West Ham. I am mindful of me saying again, I think if we lose this might be David Moyes' last game. So I'm wishing the sack on him. I don't wish any of this to happen. I wish we were back up in 6th and David Moyes was doing better. I don't like hearing that when he's talking about Scamacca. You do know some of these players take time to settle in. Well, buy ones that don't. Buy ones that settle in. Talk about the Championship. He spoke about the Championship so much. Buy players from the Championship then. I don't know. And as I say, he often speaks like he's the victim. Like he's the victim of his players not settling. You chose them. You're the one who's got the old MOT and all the rest of it. Anyway, there you go. We'll find out an awful lot more come the end of this evening. Join myself and Gio over on the main Hammers Chat channel, an hour and 5 minutes before kickoff. We'll have a little cheeky bet. We'll be discussing our betmate teams as well. Might be tweaking those a little bit. Right, anyway, I'll catch up with you later on today.